distance learning. I am here to speak to you today about our UK Rural Skills Accredited Certificate, which we have benchmarked with them to RQF Level 2. And we have worked together with George in terms of the content and to make sure it's accessible and a realistic thing for you to do with your staff. Um, the first part of my career was spent at my local riding school. I'm really, really passionate about just making sure that we can provide high quality education that works in practical way for you and your staff. Um, and that's what this is kind of been built around. It's about making sure that this is something that you can actually sit down and do with people and is also supported by us the whole way through. So a little bit about Lingfield Equine Distance Learning and how we work. Lingfield was actually founded in 1996 by a lady named Paula Clements, and she was a riding instructor who found that her clients had a shortfall in their knowledge regarding stable management. And she literally dedicated her life to building packages to kind of teach people about how to better care for their horses. She originally set up Lingfield Correspondence in like the early days of the internet and used the like a website and kind of was posting stuff out to people like all over the UK. And when she sadly passed away in 2025, what her family decided to do to protect her legacy was to donate all of the Lingfield content to my organisation, which is a not-for-profit organisation called Equine Qualifications UK CIC. And today I work with my colleague Belinda, who is a BHS APC. She's got her stage 3 complete coach and is a stage 4 senior yard manager. And she is the lead tutor at Lingfield today. So what that means is when you enroll your staff on any of the Lingfield courses, you have access to Belinda throughout the course, either yourself as the person who has enrolled your staff, and also the learners that are on the course, they can email Belinda and ask her questions. So you've kind of got wraparound support the whole way through. It's not expected that you are going to be supporting your staff the whole way if that's not something that you have the time or resource to do. So the way that this course essentially works, it's a level 2 certificate called the Principles of Equine Yard Work. And it has been benchmarked to the regulated qualification framework to level 2, which in horse terms mean that it essentially covers BHS stage 2 content. And it is primarily assessed through multiple choice quizzes for the theory part. And we've also worked with the ABRS on developing a practical solution as well. So your staff, as well as progressing through the theory parts of the course, once they've done all of the theory, they then do an e basically like an online assessment which you will go through with them as like an e-portfolio that you kind of tick off their skills as they go, which I'll explain about in a couple of minutes. So the UK Rural Skills Certificate covers the theory of animal behaviour, animal welfare, animal handling, first aid, feeding, worming, hygiene, and biosecurity, as well as professional conduct. We thought it was really important to include a professional conduct element to this because obviously social media is such a big part of young people's lives in particular. We wanted to kind of build a like the correct way to deal with clients, to navigate conversations, to understand data protection and all that sort of side of it as well. So we've tried to build a real wraparound package that covers all of the essential horse care knowledge, as well as the practical staff stuff that people need to be able to talk about. Um, and this is all delivered directly via email to your staff as screen reader compatible PDF documents. And then it is assessed, each module is assessed by an online quiz at the end. So essentially, the way that it would work is that your staff enroll via their email addresses, and then it all just automatically gets emailed out to them. So then they receive the PDF documents, they work through the content, they read it, they take notes, they work through it in whatever way they want to. And there in each module will have a couple of reflection exercises as well. So they have like a couple of like longer format questions to answer as well. They don't necessarily have to do the longer format content, but it is recommended because essentially the stuff that you then get asked on in the final quiz will touch on some of those reflective questions. Um, So obviously that working at a riding school is a hugely practical thing. And this is why when George came to me, we were trying to work out a way that we could kind of build the practical assessment into something that is also kind of that we're in charge of managing the theory side of the content for. And so the way that we have done this is we've built the once the theory section is done, um, the practical element has to be signed off by a senior member of staff. So yourselves, usually as the yard manager, would be that sort of named contact that enrolls your staff on this course. So this is done via an e-logbook, and everything is designed to kind of be done digitally, either from your phone or on a laptop, to make it as easy and efficient as possible for you guys, with your team. So the way that it sort of works is that you would enroll your members of staff with us. We then email out the content to you. And then once they have all worked through that theory part of the content, then you would probably want to organize like three separate sessions where you kind of go through all of the e-logbook with them. The e-logbook is a mixture of things, so it covers all of the sort of that basic understanding animal behavior. It also covers animal handling. It asks about first aid and feed preparation. It's all day-to-day stuff that you'll be doing on the yard with your staff. It's just a case of making sure that you have watched them do it and you have ticked them off and you're saying that these people are doing it in a way that complies with the standards that you would expect of your staff. The theory section of the course takes about 14 guided learning hours to complete. We've had really experienced members of staff fly through it in about a day before. So it really depends on the level of experience that they already have coming in. I think guys that you've probably had working with you for a few years, a lot of the knowledge that is written into those PDF documents is stuff that is completely standard and they would just know. But equally, there's a lot of that content that um you want them to know. So if you have less experienced members of staff, if they're working through it, they will learn a lot from doing it because there will be stuff in there that they maybe haven't picked up in everyday life on the yard yet. So we've tried to make it as suitable as possible for the different skill levels because we know that there'll be loads of people that are doing this that are doing it because they have to do it for council licensing, but we also really wanted it to be a good onboarding task for either, volunteers or helpers that are kind of just starting to work on yards, or sort of newer members of staff that maybe haven't done any sort of formal equestrian education before. So we've really tried to pitch it to accommodate different levels of knowledge. But I would say for the less experienced members of staff, it will take around 14 hours to work through everything properly. But for your more experienced members of staff, would expect them to be able to do that a bit quicker. So in terms of how it actually works in terms of registering, for the combination of the UK Rural Skills and the ABRS certificates, you can enrol your staff for £70 per person. You simply complete the registration form that is linked on this education page that I've screenshotted on the ABRS website. And then when you register via that form, you will receive an invoice and which is all sent to your email address that you registered with, as well as your assessor handbook. And your assessor handbook contains the tasks for the practical assessments, and it also contains what the assessment criteria should be. It also contains some suggestions about how you might want to organise doing that with your staff. It is essentially up to you how you organise it, but we recommend that you set a completion date for your staff to finish the theory component, and then you set 3 subsequent dates for you to do the practical assessments just to keep everyone kind of together as they're working through it. Once your invoice has been paid, then I will send you the student numbers for your staff that you've registered and a link to the student registration form. And then once all of your students have registered, the learning is all carried out directly on your staff's own devices, either on their phones or on laptops, depending what they prefer to work off of. Everyone chooses to do it differently. Some people prefer to really write things down, others are happy working off a Google document on their phone, and some people literally just read the content and do the quizzes. So it is very much sort of self-led in terms of how people choose to do it. There's no right or wrong way, and it's just entirely up to people's own preferences. Each module is emailed directly to your staff, so it all goes directly through them. And if you, as the organizer, want to request course content, I can also send that out to you as well. Um, we receive confirmation once your staff have completed each of the quizzes and the final assignment, and then once they've done the final quiz, and you complete your e-logbook submissions for them as well, then I issue you the UK Rural Skills certificate, and I also issue you the separate ABRS certificate, which is the practical certificate. So the way that we've kind of chosen to do it with the ABRS is as Lingfield, as the UK Rural Skills provider, we issue that theory part, and then by doing it through the ABRS, you're also getting the practical part as well. So people, if they choose to do this course just through Lingfield, they just do the theory part, whereas when you do it through the ABRS, you get the both together. Which is why we've kind of developed the logbook specifically with writing skills in mind. It's about the kind of the tasks that you would really be expected to do on a writing skill yard. Because the whole thing is kind of done through me and Belinda, it's also like we try to keep it really personal. And the thing that Paula always said about Lingfield was she wanted it to be the friendly course group. So we always try to be really accessible. And that also means that we're really open to feedback. So if you find that things aren't working, or if you think that things can be better, we're always really happy to take that on board and to improve the process for you guys, because the most important thing to us is that we're delivering something that is actually really useful to you and your staff. Um, Now, for a quick shameless plug, and since George mentioned CPD, I feel more validated in saying this. We've got a couple of other courses which might be of interest to your staff if they want to do CPD. So the Livery Yard Manager course is a really in-depth course for staff that are essentially looking to go on and set up their own livery yards potentially one day. It's been developed with the concept in mind that livery yard licensing may or may not come in the near future. And so it's built around that. It's focused on the practical sides of livery yard management, but it's also got quite a lot of business management content in it too, which if you've got more experienced staff that are maybe wanting to go on and kind of run their own yards one day, that might be something that they would want to look at doing. The other course we have is the UK Rural Skills Certificate in Equestrian Leadership, which is a course that is designed around the people skills required to manage horses, to manage people working with horses effectively. Because I think all of us as horse people love managing the horses. We don't love the people side of horses as much. And so we've developed this certificate as a kind of a mechanism to kind of improve some of the leadership skills. So if you have staff that are sort of looking to progress and looking to enter positions of management, that this is essentially a people leadership course which has been developed by a leadership consultant who is a passionate equestrian herself. And that's why we put these two courses together. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that kind of covers everything in not too much detail. I didn't want to bore you. It's late o'clock. It's late at night to be having all of this chat. So if you have any questions about how this course works or where it kind of fits in, I'd be happy to answer them. And if you want to drop me an email, my email address is there for Lingfield. Um, I will stop sharing my screen now so I can see and I can share my email in the chat if that's
One question is on the level 2 course, is there an age limit?
No, we recommend that it's from 16 up. The reason that we kind of say from 16 up is we find that that's the level of maturity that people kind of need to be able to do the self-directed learning, because it is all completely self-directed learning. But I have people in the Lingfield courses that are like 11 and 12. So as long as they're happy kind of working by themselves, it's quite flexible in terms of that. I do say that if people are under the age of 16, I have to have a named adult for them, which everybody registering through the ABRS does automatically because everybody registers as the yard manager registers everyone and